now recognize Mr. Van Drew for 5 minutes.
First of all, I want to congratulate the chairman. He's a friend, he's a good man, and he's going to be a great chairman, so I look forward to working with him. You know, just hearing some of this discussion with the drones, I just have to go back a tiny bit. I wasn't going to speak about this, but as some of you may know, I'm from Jersey. And boy, we were the epicenter of all this. And it was kind of interesting in the last administration, the Biden administration. First, we were told, and I remember this, we lived it, we don't know exactly what it is. We don't know where they're coming from, where they're going, what they're carrying, but we know there's nothing to worry about. So we went through that. Then secondly, we were told by the Pentagon and others, and remember I lived through this whole process, well, there's nothing really there, and it's basically just backyard drones, people looking at stars and looking at aircraft coming towards them, and they can look like drones. But then at the same time, military brought in specialized radar, as you know, to try to track them in the area because I guess they were concerned about frequency skipping and some other ways that drones can avoid detection. After that, we restricted our airspace. We had the FAA restrict some airspace, understandably so. We had sightings over a nuclear power plant, professional people, not backyard guys putting down a beer. We had air traffic controllers that came to me and had seen them. We had the Coast Guard that had discussed with this, and one of my colleagues from New Jersey as well, and said they had seen them. And so we restricted airspace. And we had the FBI investigate. And then finally now, you know, what President Trump's been told, and I imagine they're going to dig into this a little bit more, is that he's been told what was the FAA all along testing their own prototypes and other experiments. Then why did they restrict the airspace against their own prototypes? Why would they do that? And why didn't they say something to the FBI or the Department of Defense? Why do we bring the special radar out? It's like the FAA was a separate country that we were dealing with here. I just want to point that out. Hopefully, as we move along, we start to get a better handle on this because it's kind of crazy. And I want to say at the same time, I'm also just tired. I'm sick and tired of watching America fall behind in the last 4 years, behind in education, behind in the Coast Guard, behind in our roads, behind in our bridges, behind in our tunnels, and anybody will tell you that it's true. Behind in our AI. We're America, that's not what we do. We excel, we lead, we don't fall behind. And we've got to take this opportunity to work with President Trump and to work with our new chairman here to try to do something about a national drone infrastructure and protection system that makes sense. We've got to control our airspace, obviously, and we need the organizational structure to do that at the FAA. Ms. Ellman, thank you for being here. Thank you for your leadership on drone technology. You know, I have the FAA Tech Center in my district and in New Jersey, and we have the Airspace Modernization Office and the William J. Hughes FAA Technical Center for Advanced Aerospace. Can they be utilized, and I know the answer to this, to advance drone infrastructure? Real quick.
Absolutely, and thank you, Congressman, for your leadership and for that question as well. Absolutely, the Tech Center is doing all kinds of really great work. I know they've been doing testing, I believe under the 383 program of counter-drone technology. They're doing testing of all different types of technologies. Certainly, the Tech Center is a great resource. We think testing is really important, just like the counter-drone Aviation Rulemaking Committee said, we need as much testing as possible. We've seen a good amount of it. We're going to see some moving forward as the authorized equipment list is determined. So absolutely, I think there's a critical role for the Tech Center and other research facilities to play.
Me too. You heard that one, Chairman, right? Okay. Secondly, and I know the answer, but just tell me real briefly, why are you so supportive of counter-drone systems?
Certainly. So I'm here representing the Commercial Drone Alliance. The commercial drone community recognizes that innovation and security are two sides of the same coin. We want to enable the good, all of the amazingly beneficial use cases, life-saving use cases that commercial drones can offer, but we also recognize that any technology, including drones, can be misused.
Exactly, and have been. Congress directed the FAA to issue a rulemaking to establish no-fly zones around critical infrastructure and sensitive sites. We know that. The Biden administration failed to advance the critical rule, didn't go anywhere. How would a federal framework for no-fly zones over the private sector sites intersect with expanded authorities for counter-UAS? And are they important? I know they are, but go ahead, tell us.
Yes, no, they're very important. And Section 2209 has been languishing out there. This was a 2016 congressional mandate on the FAA. I know that the FAA has done work. There is a rule under development. It did not make it through the last administration. Our fingers are crossed we can get it over the finish line. These rulemakings, including 108 as well, are enabling rulemakings, which will enable this industry. So we want to see them move forward. We talk about limiting the legislation that you're considering to flight-restricted areas. Section 2209 would enable the limitation of drones over certain critical infrastructure facilities, such as oil and gas facilities or utilities or other sensitive airspace. And so they would really fit together hand in hand, where you have Section 2209 kind of says, okay, this is a sensitive airspace. We agree that unauthorized drone use should be limited in this area. And then that would kind of open the door for counter-drone technologies to be utilized in that airspace to protect it under your legislation.
And I appreciate that answer, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to yield back, but I'm just going to say this. We need to do better, and we're going to do better. I mean, we've fallen behind. We're not at where we should be. I want to understand, everybody understand that clearly. I've been deeply involved in this. I thank you for your answers, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman